I was always the one who faded into the background while my sister basked in the spotlight. This Christmas, she outright refused to book me a room, declaring that only the real family could stay together. Hi, Reddit, my name is Emma, and I'm a 29-year-old project coordinator for a tech firm in Portland. I earn a decent salary of $140,000 a year, and I'm proud to say that I built a fulfilling life for myself. It wasn't given to me on a silver platter, it's the result of hard work, careful planning, and countless late nights. Growing up, I didn't have the luxury of a privileged upbringing, but my sister, Chloe, who is 31, certainly did. She is the family's golden child. My parents, Robert, 60, and Sarah, 58, treated her like their pride and joy. Chloe had a picture-perfect childhood, never having to lift a finger for anything. My parents paid for her college tuition, bought her a car, and even helped with the down payment on her first house. Meanwhile, I took a different path. I juggled part-time jobs throughout college, relying on scholarships and scraping by to cover my rent and bills. When I graduated, I was debt-free but utterly exhausted. My uncle, Thomas, 63, my mother's brother, was one of the few who recognized my hard work. He's a self-made millionaire who built his real estate business from the ground up. Since he has no children of his own, he's always been generous to our family. However, he believes in earning what you have, so while he financially supports Chloe and my parents, he respects my choice to carve my own path. Chloe and her husband, Mark, 33, seem to lead a glamorous life, but it's all a facade. The irony is that Chloe's Instagram is filled with carefully curated photos from their vacations, their son's private school events, and extravagant dinners. But if you look closer, it's all funded by Uncle Thomas. Neither she nor Mark has stable jobs. Mark is supposedly in sales, but his performance is lackluster at best. Chloe has never worked a day in her life. She calls herself a full-time mom, but let's be honest, she has a nanny. Uncle Thomas also covers all expenses for my parents, who live in a lovely retirement community in Florida. He pays for their medical bills and monthly costs. My father spent most of his life as a factory worker, and my mother was a schoolteacher, so they never saved for retirement. They don't seem to feel guilty about relying on Uncle Thomas, they act as if it's their birthright. Uncle Thomas once told me, "Emma, you're the only one in this family who knows what it means to stand on your own 2 feet." Hearing that meant the world to me. It felt like someone finally acknowledged my struggles. I know Chloe resents me for having that kind of relationship with him, but the truth is, she wouldn't survive without his support. I've stopped expecting anything from my parents, and I'm okay with that. It's incredibly frustrating to watch them constantly pander to Chloe while treating her like some kind of saint for spending money she doesn't even have. The most infuriating part is Chloe's arrogance. She often brags about her lifestyle, making snide comments about how I work too hard or don't know how to enjoy life. But the truth is, I'm content. My life may not be as glamorous as hers, but it's real and authentic to me. So, let's just say that things escalated this Christmas season. Every year, Uncle Thomas takes the family on a lavish trip, a tradition we've upheld for years. I'll admit, it's enjoyable for a few days. We stay in luxurious hotels, indulge in delicious food, and occasionally manage to get along. Uncle Thomas loves to go all out. I think it's his way of keeping the family connected now that we all live in different places. This year, he chose a ski resort near Aspen. I'm not much of a skier, but I was excited because Aspen in December is breathtaking. Plus, I don't get to go on extravagant vacations every day. Uncle Thomas entrusted Chloe with the responsibility of booking everything, which was mistake number 1. He's always relied on her for these arrangements, probably because she has nothing else going on and plenty of free time. I thought about offering to help, but I didn't want to step on her toes. Chloe loves being the planner. It allows her to take credit for everything, even though she's just using Uncle Thomas's money. So, I booked my trip and arrived in Aspen a bit later than everyone else due to work commitments. My company had a major project deadline, and I needed to wrap everything up before I could leave. I arrived at the resort around 4 p.m., dragging my suitcase through the snow. I had learned over the years that Chloe thrived on making others feel small, and the best way to cope with her was to act as if she didn't bother me. So, I took a deep breath, forced a smile, and said, "All right, enjoy your holiday." Then I grabbed my suitcase and headed out. As I left the foyer, I could feel Chloe's smug gaze on my back. She undoubtedly believed she had triumphed and humiliated me. Maybe she had, just a little, but I refused to let her ruin my trip. The truth is, Chloe has pulled similar stunts before. She has always been the queen of exclusion, whether it's accidentally forgetting to invite me to family dinners or cleverly omitting plans until it's too late for me to join. It's as if she derives a twisted pleasure from reminding me that, in her eyes, I don't belong. And my parents? They've always let her get away with it. They'll say things like, "Oh, that's just Chloe," or "She didn't mean it like that," as if her actions had no real consequences. But this felt different. This wasn't just a dinner or a casual gathering, it was Christmas, a family tradition, and she had purposely excluded me, fully aware of how much it would hurt. By the time I stepped outside, I was furious. The cold air hit my face, but it didn't cool my anger. I pulled out my phone and began searching for local hotels, determined to find somewhere else to stay. I wasn't going to crawl back to Chloe or my parents and beg for a place to sleep. After a few minutes of searching, I found another luxurious hotel about 10 minutes away. They had a suite available. It was absurdly expensive, but I didn't care. I wasn't going to let Chloe's pettiness ruin my Christmas. I called my two closest friends, Mia and Sophie. Neither of them had any big plans for Christmas this year. Mia's family was out of town, and Sophie had just ended a relationship and wasn't in the mood to celebrate. "Hey, how do you feel about spending Christmas in Aspen?" I asked. They didn't hesitate for a second. Within hours, they were on their way. That evening, we transformed my suite into our own personal Christmas hideaway. We ordered room service, which included everything from burgers to decadent desserts, and then relaxed in the outdoor hot tub that overlooked the mountains. The steam rose into the cool night air, and for the first time that day, I felt like I was on vacation. While lounging in the hot tub, we began discussing the entire situation with Chloe. Mia couldn't believe it. "She actually said you weren't part of the real family," she exclaimed. Sophie shook her head. "She's always been a piece of work, but this is a new low." Later that night, we returned to the suite and cranked up the Christmas music. We danced around in our pajamas, indulged in way too much chocolate, and laughed until our sides hurt. We felt like kids again, having a sleepover and not caring about anything else in the world. I decided to share some Instagram stories. I wasn't trying to be petty. Okay, maybe I was a little petty, but I wanted Chloe to know that her little act hadn't ruined my vacation. I posted a video of us in the hot tub with the mountains in the background, another of us dancing in our suite, and a photo of our ridiculous room service spread. Chloe was the first to see them. I could almost feel her rage through the screen. Knowing her, she probably couldn't stand the thought that I was having a better time than she was. Chloe thrives on being the center of attention, so seeing me happy and carefree must have irritated her to no end. The next morning, I received a text from Uncle Thomas. He wanted to meet for breakfast at my hotel. I knew he had heard something about what happened at the other lodge, and I felt a mix of relief and anxiety. Uncle Thomas doesn't play games with family. When I met him in the hotel restaurant, he was already seated at a corner table, sipping coffee, and looking as composed as ever. Uncle Thomas is one of those people who draws attention without even trying. He's sharp, direct, and always seems to be 10 steps ahead of everyone else. We exchanged pleasantries, but he got straight to the point. "So, Emma," he said, putting his coffee cup down, "what happened at the lodge?" I took a deep breath before recounting everything, from the moment I arrived and discovered I didn't have a reservation to Chloe's arrogant little speech about booking rooms for the real family. I didn't sugarcoat anything, but I also avoided sounding whiny. I just laid out the facts. As I spoke, I noticed Uncle Thomas's expression change. At first, he seemed thoughtful, but as my suite, where Mia and Sophie were already awake and planning our day. I didn't share much about my conversation with Uncle Thomas, mostly because I wasn't sure what would happen next, but I had a feeling things were about to get interesting. A few hours later, I received my first update, and let me tell you, Uncle Thomas didn't hold back. It's been a week since the Christmas incident, and boy, have things escalated quickly. Uncle Thomas wasn't kidding when he said he'd take care of things. Let me explain what happened after our breakfast talk. First, Uncle Thomas didn't just cancel their hotel reservations, he cut off all financial support to Chloe and my parents immediately. There was no warning, no gradual decline, he simply terminated all assistance. Chloe's idyllic life turned out to be a house of cards, and it collapsed dramatically. The first sign of disaster came when Chloe's credit cards were declined. Apparently, Uncle Thomas had been covering her expenses, and she tried to keep it a secret. But word spread when she had to cancel Nathan's winter break activities because she couldn't afford the costs. Then came the mortgage payment crisis. Uncle Thomas had been contributing to their monthly bills to help them maintain their lifestyle in their upscale neighborhood. Without his support, they were scrambling to figure out how to keep their home. Mark's commission-based sales job wasn't enough to cover their expenses, and Chloe had been in such denial about money that they had almost no savings. The most ironic part? Chloe began contacting me repeatedly, leaving voicemails that ranged from angry accusations to heartbreaking pleas. "How could you do this to us?" she screamed in one message. "Nathan is crying because we had to cancel his private tennis lessons. Are you happy now?" In another message, she tried to guilt-trip me. "I know I made a mistake at Christmas, but do you really want to see your nephew suffer?" I haven't responded to any of her messages. After years of treating me like I wasn't part of the real family, it's almost laughable how desperately she needs my help now. My parents aren't handling it well, either. Mom called me in tears, saying they might have to leave their retirement community because they couldn't afford the monthly costs without Uncle Thomas's assistance. "We're too old to start over," she cried. "Can't you talk to your uncle? He'll listen to you." The arrogance of that request left me stunned. After years of tolerating Chloe's behavior and my parents disregarding my feelings, do they really expect me to advocate for them? Dad sent me a long email expressing his disappointment in my lack of family loyalty. According to him, I'm being vengeful and petty by turning Uncle Thomas against the family. He conveniently failed to mention that they showed no loyalty to me while Chloe was pulling her stunts. The most satisfying aspect of all this? Chloe's Instagram has gone dark. No more regular updates about her happy life or carefully curated family photos. There will be no more me bragging about Nathan's expensive private school or their lavish vacations. Her most recent post was from before Christmas, featuring the generic phrase, "Family is everything." The irony is almost perfect. Uncle Thomas called me yesterday to check in. He wasn't gloating, that's not his style, but he said something that really stuck with me: sometimes people have to lose everything to appreciate the worth of anything. He also mentioned that both Chloe and my parents had bombarded him with calls and emails, but he is standing firm. They made their choice, he said. Now they can live with it. I have to admit, I feel a little guilty as I watch everything unfold, but then I remember Chloe's smug expression in the hotel lobby, claiming I wasn't a member of the real family. I recall how my parents dismissed her behavior all those years while I was made to feel inadequate for wanting to forge my own path instead of relying on handouts. Mia and Sophie have been incredibly supportive throughout this. They're just facing the consequences of their own actions, Mia said during our coffee date yesterday. Grace added, maybe this will finally teach them that money isn't everything. Meanwhile, I'm focusing on my work and personal life. Our company's major project is progressing well, and there are talks of a promotion in the near future. It's strange that while Chloe's meticulously crafted world crumbles, the life I've built for myself grows stronger. I've never sought vengeance or wanted to see my family suffer, all I ever wanted was to be respected and recognized as an equal member of the family. It's unfortunate that they had to face such harsh measures to understand the implications of their actions, but sometimes that's what it takes. Chloe, Mark, and my parents are going to learn the value of self-reliance. Maybe then they'll realize the importance of hard work and independence, which Uncle Thomas saw in me all along. My parents have also had to downsize. They sold their condo in the upscale retirement community and moved to a smaller apartment complex. Mom keeps insisting it'll be temporary until they work things out with Uncle Thomas, but deep down, I think they understand this is their new reality. The most startling development? Chloe actually had to start looking for work after 15 years of being a full-time mother with a full-time nanny. She's realizing her skill set is quite limited. She applied for some marketing positions, claiming that her experience managing her personal brand on Instagram qualified her, but so far, no bites. Meanwhile, I was just promoted to senior project manager. The irony isn't lost on me. While they're all struggling to adjust to living within their means, my career is thriving. I treated myself to a beautiful bottle of champagne to celebrate, and Uncle Thomas sent me a lovely bouquet with a note that read, "Success is the best revenge. Proud of you." Kate mentioned something intriguing yesterday. Notice how none of them have actually apologized to you? They're all just sorry they got caught and lost their meal ticket. She's right. Amid all the tears, accusations, and pleas for help, no one has said, "I'm sorry for treating you like you weren't family." I suppose some people never learn. They're so focused on lamenting their lost lifestyle that they can't grasp what they did wrong in the first place. It's been 3 months since everything changed, and I'm now ready to share what's happened. The dust has settled, and everyone's true colors are more visible than ever. My birthday was last week, and Uncle Thomas sent me a handwritten card that brought me to tears. "Dear Emma," he wrote, "watching you build your life on your own terms has been one of my greatest joys. Your strength isn't in spite of your struggles, it's because of them. Never doubt that independence is the greatest gift you've given yourself. Proud of you always." His card arrived at the perfect time, as I had just completed the paperwork for my new position with my promotion to senior project manager. I received a significant raise in stock options. I'm currently earning $165,000 per year plus bonuses. The irony isn't lost on me. I'm now earning more than Mark did in his peak years, thanks to Uncle Thomas's covert assistance. Chloe and Mark's new reality has really set in. Chloe had to take a job as an administrative assistant at a local real estate firm. Oh, the irony of working in real estate after years of living lavishly thanks to Uncle Thomas's real estate empire. She's struggling with basic office tasks and is reporting to a boss for the first time in her life. Mark's commission-based sales have hit rock bottom. Without Uncle Thomas's business connections to provide him leads, he's realizing just how poor his sales skills are. They had to sell both of their fancy cars and now share an old Honda Civic. Nathan seems to be the only one adjusting well to their new situation. He's made friends at his new public school and joined the soccer team. Ironically, he appears happier now that Chloe can't control every aspect of his life with expensive activities and private tutors. My parents are learning how to budget for the first time in years. They've lost their country club membership along with most of their friends. Dad is trying to boost their income by driving for Uber, which you would have thought beneath him just a few months ago. Mom is looking into substitute teaching again, but being out of work for so long has made it tough. Chloe launched a lifestyle blog about embracing simple living, as if she had a choice. Her first post discussed finding joy in home-cooked meals after their weekly dining-out budget was depleted. The responses were harsh, with many criticizing her clear attempt to portray her forced lifestyle changes as spontaneous decisions. Their desperate attempts to contact me have also evolved. Initially, it was all wrath and accusations, then came the guilt trips and emotional manipulation. Now they're taking a different approach, feigned humility. Chloe wrote me a lengthy email about how she has learned so much from this experience and how she never appreciated the importance of hard work until now. She still managed to make it all about herself without apologizing for what she had done. Mom and Dad have been exchanging texts about healing the family and moving forward together. Dad even suggested that since I'm doing so well, I could help them financially. The arrogance still astounds me. They seem to believe that because I am successful, I owe them anything. Uncle Thomas contacted me last week with some interesting news. Chloe had shown up at his office unannounced, trying to convey her side of the situation. He claimed she broke down crying in the foyer, creating such a scene that security had to remove her. He was unmoved by her performance. "Crocodile tears don't pay bills," he said. "She's still trying to manipulate her way."